Every Beyblade part is essential for making the best combinations and figuring out what kind of Beyblade fits your style. The blade is the main centerpiece that expresses what battle style, beast, and power you want, while the bit or tip expresses what movement you want to get out of your Beyblade. The last piece, though, is the ratchet, one that is often overlooked when comparing all the rest of the parts. Even though that may be the case, it is debatably the most important part of a Beyblade by determining the burst resistance, the strength, the movement, and balance, while making sure the bay stays totally whole and complete. But what people don't know is that ratchets have taken the place of one of the most important parts of a Beyblade, and has changed the landscape for the competitive scene greatly by introducing a secret weapon that most people don't know about. But before I get into that, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to get alerted when a new video comes out. More than 78% of people watching aren't subscribed, so if you're enjoying the content, I hope you stick around for even more competitive Beyblade coverage, because now we gotta discuss the basics of a ratchet. And the first thing I want to cover is the height, the most important part of a ratchet in my opinion. While some people think that might not be the case, it honestly is the main thing that does. Height determines how consistent a Beyblade can be, because being too tall can make a Beyblade's stamina deplete faster. Currently, there are 85, 80, 70, 60, 55, and 50 heights for a Beyblade, with 70, 60, and 50 heights being the most preferred choices depending on the Beyblade. 70 heights can be used on Beyblades like Silverwolf, Tyrannobeat, Aero Pegasus, and the newest release, Samurai Caliber, due to their high stamina, down smash attacks, or defensive capabilities. However, most Beyblades in general prefer to be on the 60 height, due to it being the lowest possible ratchet currently available for most bays. The new 50 height ratchet aims to change that though. It could be making new waves, but it's just not seeing too much use, as 450 is currently the only ratchet out of that caliber. And at the time of this video being released, it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting another 50 height ratchet so soon. It could definitely change when different sided ratchets pop up, but now we gotta get to our next point, the best sided ratchets to use. Currently, there are quite a number of ratchets with different protruding sides, 160, 760, 360, and etc. They make up the ratchet's unique properties. The protrusions really are what make the preference matter for a player too. For example, if you want to minimize burst risk, use a 9-sided ratchet. If you want to maximize weight and strong attacks or even tankiness of a bay, use a 7-sided ratchet. My personal favorite is actually 160 because of its added attack power and pocket popping ability, which is basically when a Beyblade escapes the overfinish pocket or the 2-point pocket. You can't really go super wrong with most ratchets though. However, 4-sided and 2-sided ratchets are definitely the weakest ratchet sides and seem to be the most burst prone as well. The same can actually be said for 455 and 385. The middle height ratchets just are no good because they can burst, topple easily, and just don't fit very right into a Beyblade, unfortunately. However, with those ratchets out of the way, I want to introduce the secret weapon that ratchets have, that being tightness. Depending on the ratchet height and ratchet mold, you will have some that are tighter and some that are looser than others. This can introduce an effect called min-maxing, where a player can choose specific parts with tiny details that matter so much you would never think otherwise. For example, most Takara Tomy Beyblade ratchets make the Beyblade's bits spin more off of the rails, making them faster and able to catch the X rail a lot easier. Hasbro Beyblade products over in the West though have ratchets that tend to be a bit tighter and make the bit spin less freely upon the rail. Of course, this isn't always the case, as some Takara Tomy ratchets do have that tightness, while some Hasbro ratchets have the more free spinning side. Quality control is a huge thing when it comes to Beyblades because, of course, they're products. Not every Beyblade is gonna always be one-to-one with everything, so maximizing that one-to-oneness and capabilities in battle is another side to competitive Beyblade. Hasbro ratchets, especially though, in my opinion, are best for conserving stamina, as Beyblades will be less likely to catch the rail, leading to less stamina drain. Depending on the Beyblade and preference of use though, you may want to use one or the other, or even both in your Beyblade deck. The Hasbro ratchets, in my opinion, are better used on stamina and defense Beyblades, while the Takara ratchets are better for attack and balance type Beyblades. I've actually found the Hasbro 560, 360, and 960 to work best on the Cobalt Dragoon Elevate combo because it helps keep it together a lot better and helps it retain the stamina that it needs to outspin Beyblades like Wizard Rod and even attack type Beyblades. I'd even go as far to say that Wizard Rod right now really does need a Hasbro ratchet to survive all the lethal bursting Beyblades like Shark Edge and Hover Wyvern. And same could be said on the flip side. I use Aero Pegasus and Hover Wyvern, but I prefer to use a Takara ratchet for both of them so that they can catch the rail a lot easier and hit the opposing Beyblade more consistently for a knockout. And while I mention that, I actually want to talk about this. A burst doesn't count unless it is full separation, like this. If the bit pops out just like a little bit, but it's like hanging on by a thread and it's still like intertwined in the ratchet, that is not a burst, at least not yet. And if you are riding the rail and self-burst, that is counted as a burst. There is no self-KO ruling for burst. Just wanted to give a small little inclusion for the rules there, which I might actually do a video clarifying Beyblade X rules soon, so be on the lookout for that. Overall though, ratchets are super unique, and I hope this video sheds some light on the hidden techniques that you can use with ratchets. Especially since ratchets are so integral to the game of Beyblade, it's really nice to have an overview of how they work. In some cases, it can make competitive Beyblade way more sweaty than you may think, but it also provides a lot of uniqueness and different ways of thinking for players trying to develop new strategies and techniques. Either way though, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video of me going over ratchets and everything. I feel like I haven't really seen much people actually talk in depth about how ratchets work, so really wanted to provide that kind of video for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys would like to hear about next, and what kind of content you guys would like to see more of. I plan to do more Beyblade X competitive streams, like testing out Beyblades and going to like more Beyblade tournaments, streaming all of those if I can. It's obviously going to be hard to keep up with all of it, but I'm going to stream and do all that as much as I can. Either way though, remember guys, to have a good rest of your day and keep on spinning. For real, for real.